You think it starts with them, the way they look at you across a crowded room, the cadence of their voice, the sudden magnetic pull that drops your stomach and makes you feel like you have known them your entire life. But desire almost never begins with the person standing in front of you. It begins with a quiet, hollow space inside of you, a phantom limb of the soul that someone else suddenly seems to fill. It aches in the dark, invisible to everyone else, until a stranger walks in and perfectly aligns with the empty space you've been carrying all along. Carl Jung once suggested something that changes how you view love forever. We do not fall in love with other people. We fall in love with the parts of ourselves we have not yet been introduced to, or the parts we were forced to abandon. When you feel that intoxicating, earth-shattering spark, it is rarely just attraction. It is recognition. It is an ancient ache waking up and whispering, "There it is, the piece of me I had to leave behind." We are not drawn to people by accident. The human heart is constantly seeking completion, not coincidence. You gravitate toward those who carry the very things you have exiled from your own personality. If you have spent your life being small, agreeable, and accommodating, you will find yourself fiercely attracted to someone who takes up space unapologetically. If you have lived entirely in your head, tightly controlled and intellectual, you will be magnetically pulled towards someone who lives recklessly and beautifully in their emotions. If you were taught that resting is lazy, you will fall in love with someone who moves through the world like time doesn't exist. You look at them and think you want to be with them. But the hidden, heavier truth of desire is that you actually want to be them. Or rather, you want to reclaim the part of yourself that wakes up when they are in the room. In them, you see the permission you never gave yourself. They are living the life you could have lived if you hadn't learned to be afraid. This is why infatuation feels so intensely powerful and why it hurts so deeply. It is the joy of seeing your lost self again, mixed with the buried grief of realizing you are the one who locked it away. To understand why we do this, you have to look backward. When we were children, we learned very quickly what was acceptable to the people raising us. We were little survivalists, mirroring the adults who held our lives in their hands. We learned who we were allowed to be by what they welcomed. If our anger made our caregivers pull away, we cut our anger off and became the good child. If our joy was too loud for a tired parent, we learned to be quiet. If our sadness made them uncomfortable, we hid it away in the dark. Every time we suppressed a true emotion to stay safe, we fractured ourselves. We traded our wholeness for our survival. Now, as adults, we wander the world looking for lovers who can hold the heavy things our parents could not. But here is the tragedy of unconscious love. We confuse integration with possession. We think that if we can just hold on to this person, if we can make them ours, we will finally feel whole forever. We use the fantasy of you and me to hide from the terrifying reality of me and me. We make them entirely responsible for our healing because longing for someone else is so much easier than sitting alone with our own emptiness. You cannot possess a missing piece of yourself by holding another person hostage, but we try anyway. This is why the people we desire the most are almost always the ones who trigger our deepest, most agonizing insecurities. It feels like a cruel joke of the universe, but it is actually psychological precision. The psyche is always trying to balance the scales. If you are terrified of abandonment, you will often find yourself hopelessly attached to someone emotionally unavailable. You think you are chasing love, but you are really just reenacting the first time you reached out for a hand that wasn't there, hoping that this time, if you are just perfect enough, the ending will change. Sometimes, what we call earth-shattering chemistry is really just two childhood wounds recognizing each other across a room. Your fear perfectly fits their silence. Their intensity perfectly matches your yearning. It feels like destiny. It feels written in the stars. But it is just a pattern, and the universe will keep sending you the exact same pattern, wearing different faces and different names, until you finally learn the lesson. Every person who breaks your heart or leaves you longing is delivering a very specific message from your own shadow. Eventually, the initial spark fades, the illusion shatters. You are left looking at a flawed, ordinary human being, and the intoxicating feeling of being completed disappears. When they pull away, or when the relationship ends, it doesn't just feel like losing a partner, it feels like losing your own vitality, your own permission to be alive in that specific way. You mourn the version of you that only existed in their presence. This is the exact moment where true love and true healing actually begins. But it is also the edge where most people turn back, because the truth is incredibly heavy. The truth says, they showed you what you were missing. Now you have to do the terrifying work of reclaiming it yourself. Most people don't want to do that work. It is easier to walk away, find a new stranger, a new mirror, and start the intoxicating cycle of distraction all over again. But if you stay with the discomfort, if you choose to look at the mirror instead of throwing it away, everything changes. You stop asking, why won't they love me the way I want? And start asking, what part of myself is begging to be seen through them? When you shift this perspective, desire stops being a hunger that consumes you and becomes a compass that guides you. You realize that you can admire someone's fierce independence without needing to trap it. You can bask in someone's warmth without making them your only source of heat. You learn to say, thank you for reminding me that I have this fire inside me, instead of begging them not to take the fire away. Love transforms from a desperate pursuit of completion into a beautiful resonance between two whole beings. You no longer need someone to be your missing puzzle piece. You can stand beside them, fully yourself, and say, I see you, and through you, I am remembering me. This kind of awareness does not mean you will never feel the sting of longing again. Longing is not a flaw. It is the pulse of life trying to expand. You will still miss people. You will still mourn the ones who couldn't stay. But the grief changes. You no longer feel like you are losing a piece of your soul when they walk out the door, because you know they never truly owned it. You can love them, let them go, and keep the lesson. Even the ones who shattered you, especially them, were sacred guides disguised as lovers. They carried the light you forgot you had. And as you keep walking through this life, growth never truly stops. One day, you will be standing in a room and another face will catch your eye. Someone will look at you a certain way, and that familiar, ancient flutter will rise in your chest again. But this time, you won't panic. You won't abandon yourself to chase them. You will feel the magnetic pull, and instead of mistaking it for destiny, you will recognize it for what it is, the sacred, beautiful language of your own soul trying to expand. You will look at them, smile quietly to yourself, and whisper in your heart, you are not here to complete me. You are just here to show me what is waking up next. Deep down, you will sense another missing piece rising to the surface, waiting to be seen, waiting to be claimed. Every new desire is simply the soul asking, what part of me is ready to be born now?